Hello and good evening to, good afternoon to all of you, because this is the Business and Banking Dialogue show, our bi-weekly show, which comes to you every Wednesday and Friday. Today, we're having a little different show. It's not a live show for you, what we're bringing. Unfortunately, our very honored guest has a commitment that he has to honor at 4 o'clock. So that's why it's a recorded conversation that I'm going to have with none other than Mr. Subhash Chandra Garg. Okay, so I will. Sorry about this, but we had to adjust to the esteemed guest's request. But I promise you that we would request him to come again on a live show so that he can take your questions. All right. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. Today, we are going to talk about Digital Rupee and its implications on the economy. As we all know, this show is live across UPS channels, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. I'm KK, your moderator and host. So let me give you a brief profile about Mr. Subhash Chandra Garg. Mr. Garg has been a Secretary, Department of Economic Affairs, Ministry of Finance, Government of India, and belonged to the IAS batch of 1983, Rajasthan. Shri Garg has over 34 years of experience in administration, management, and public policy in finance and several deployment sectors, including agriculture, education, energy, and rural. So 34 years. This is such a lot of vast amount of knowledge that he has, working for the government. He has managed government of finances both at the center and in the state of Rajasthan. As you see from you have a slide in front of you. He has served as Executive Director in the World Bank Group for Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, and Sri Lanka, and on the Board of Directors for IBRD and IDA, the International Finance Corporation, or IFC as we call it, and the Multilateral Investment Guarantee Agency, MIGA. So Shri Garg has degrees in commerce and law from the University of Rajasthan, Jaipur, and is a professional cost and works accountant and a company secretary. So you could see further. You must have read. I'll give you a moment or so to read. Okay. So let's begin our discussion, sir. The first time we heard about the desirability and feasibility to introduce a central bank digital currency, okay, through the 2017-18 edition of RBI's annual report, which stated that an interdepartmental group has been constituted by RBI to study and provide guidance. In 2019, 2 years later, a panel headed by you and then as the then finance secretary had recommended introduction of Digital Rupee, while simultaneously suggesting a crackdown on private cryptocurrencies, which is another form of currency which most governments are not supporting it. Then on 25th of January 2021, recently, the RBI stated that it is examining if there is a need to introduce digital currency or fiat currency or CBDC in India. So my question to you, sir, is that according to you, what are the compelling reasons that are forcing the government to start serious contemplation to introduce electronic or dematerialized version of currency? Mr. Subhash Garg.
Thank you very much. I think the subject of digital currency, the central bank digital currency, and cryptocurrency, etc., has made a lot of mystique around the currency, which is mundane rupee or coins as we see every day. If you share this mystique and just would need to see it only in its simplest form, in my judgment, digital currency is only the digital version of the physical rupee, right?
Okay.
So today you have rupee, which is a paper note in your pocket, 100 rupees or 200 rupees or 500 or whatever, or some coins, which is 5 rupee coin or 2 rupee coin or 1 rupee coin kind of thing. And
Yeah.
these are physical because they are either
Yes.
minted on paper or they are minted on some using some metal or others. So they're physical. We use this currency or cash to do all kinds of transactions, making payments and all.
Yeah.
Why it's called currency. It remains current. It makes you buy goods, settle payments, pays fees, etc., etc. So the physical currency is what is the currency today. Suppose it becomes a digital, that you use some electronic means to do exactly what you do with the rupee
Mhm.
or the coins, then in my judgment, that would become a digital currency.
Absolutely.
Let us also distinguish this from what is known as digital payments. Right?
Okay.
Today, a lot of payments are made digitally. Right?
Right.
Whenever you use UPI or RTGS or IMPS and other means of making payments, or for that matter, even checks, which is partial physical, right?
Yeah.
So when you use these means to make payment, you
Yeah.
are using digital payments or digital version of the physical money, which is the deposits in your bank,
Yeah.
either in current account or savings account or whatever. You have your physical money sort of stored in the electronic accounts in banks today, and that money you use to make payment whenever you use the IMPS or UPI and things like that, right? Or any other electronic wallet for that matter. So we are making lots of payments today digitally.
Yeah.
So our currency or the underlying currency remains physical.
Correct.
My judgment, the movement of physical currency into digital currency
Yeah.
would be something which is which is digital currency. It can be in different forms, but I don't think there is any necessarily one form. So today there's a lot of talk about CBDT in cryptocurrencies using blockchain technology, the private
Yes.
cryptocurrencies using the cryptocurrencies mode, etc., and the blockchain technology. So I have suggested alternatively that like equities and bonds and others, you have dematerialized the assets or the equity and the bonds assets, and
Yeah.
increasingly the fixed deposits and other things you are dematerializing.
Right.
You can think of dematerializing the physical rupee as well. So if you, let us say, convert the physical rupee into a dematerialized rupee, and then use that to make payments by the way you transfer shares or otherwise. In our discussions further, one can elaborate on the process of using the electronic rupee or the digital rupee, but a dematerialized option is also one of the options. So whether you use the cryptocurrency based, the blockchain model or dematerialized model or some other model, and convert the physical rupee into electronic rupee or digital rupee, then the currency becomes the digital currency. I think if we have that clarity, we will probably be able to see a lot of confusion and other things which are going around today, and that can be sorted out.
Right. So you're saying it's like your demat shares account, uh, where you do buy and sell, right? So we are saying from what I gather is that all our incomes that come to us into our savings account from where we go to the ATM to withdraw cash, perhaps, and to pay, though it has come down dramatically. You are saying that people can have a choice of having income either in the demat form, like you have in shares, or in a normal savings account from where you kind of withdraw cash. Am I right on that?
See, partially yes, but let me explain a little bit.
Okay.
So today, your incomes, most of your incomes, whether it's salary income or otherwise,
Yes.
uh, comes in your bank account.
Yes.
And you can withdraw that into cash in physical, but it remains in your bank account and mostly in electronic form today. The
Correct.
deposits are mostly electronic. And you also use this income which you have to make payments, right?
Yes.
And by making IMPS payments or RTGS or otherwise.
Yeah.
And probably you end up making lots of payment without actually touching cash or
Yes.
without
Correct.
touching the physical currency, right?
Correct.
But this is payments. So you are making payments by using digital version of your physical currency in the bank account, right?
Right. Yeah.
The underlying currency still remains physical. So you can draw from banks cash, as you said, in the ATMs or otherwise,
Yes.
by going to the branch, and you can convert your deposit into cash currency and use that to make payments. This is what lots of small income people do it. Most of them tend to draw their salary from their account or receive their salary or income in cash for the services they rendered or the work they done, and use the physical cash to make payment. So today you have two alternatives of using your physical currency by using the money in your bank account to make payment, or by using your physical cash to make payments and receive incomes, right? Suppose tomorrow you have another option that instead of a bank account, so today the payments involve, if you want to make electronic payments or digital payments, it necessarily involves use of a bank account in whatever form,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Whenever you're making UPI, whether you use Paytm or somebody else, at the end there is a bank account, right? The final transaction gets reflected in your bank account, right?
Correct. Correct.
So you use that. There is no facility today of making direct payment without a bank account using the currency, right? If you were to get but let us say today when you transfer your shares, right, or your bonds in the dematted accounts held by CSDL or NSDL,
Yeah.
while you make payments using the digital means, but your shares get transferred digitally from A beneficiary account to B's beneficiary account in the CSDL. Just
Yes.
imagine that all the 25 or 30 lakh crores of notes which are issued are held in a dematerialized account by CSDL. For a minute, you imagine that, right?
Yeah.
And you have a facility to transfer the payment or make the payment directly by transferring from your account in the CSDL to somebody else's account in the CSDL by using your smartphone or any other electronic device without touching the bank. In that case, the currency itself becomes digital.
Okay.
That is the
Yeah.
difference. If you
Okay.
disintermediate the bank, if you
Yeah.
take the bank out of the equation and
Hmm.
allow and create a system, that's what cryptocurrency does, right? So today, if you use a cryptocurrency, Bitcoin or something to make payment, you're making payment from somebody who is holding the Bitcoin to somebody else who will hold the Bitcoin thereafter. The bank is not involved. So the currency, when it gets disintermediated from the banking system
Yeah.
and can be transacted and used for making payments otherwise directly as currency, then it becomes digital currency.
True. Uh, I hope, ladies and gentlemen, you're getting the gist of what is perhaps going to happen. You'll get more clarification as we go into the session. Uh, so, Mr. Garg, it is evident that the digital rupee has its own advantage. Of that, there is no doubt. Okay. Then why has India not been able to make quick progress as it had made with the introduction of UPI and IMPS? Why we are still debating or thinking about digital currency?
See, digital rupee or digitalization of currency is the next major sort of transformation in the evolution of currencies in the world. By the way, no country has moved into the digital currency mode so far. So it's not
Mhm.
for anyone to feel bad that India has not made this move as yet. No one has made. Just to
Okay.
draw a little bit of your attention towards the evolution of currencies, 100 years back, the currency used to be primarily the metallic currency. The paper currency had made its beginning, but was relatively minor, right?
Okay.
The primary mode or primary currency was the silver coin or the gold coin, and the sort of portions of it in different other metals. So
Mhm.
metal was the mode of or was the currency for many many centuries in the world,
Yes.
right?
Civilization, right? From.
Because there was inherent value in metal.
Yes.
Everything else you wanted to make payment for
Mhm.
could be valued in terms of the metal which acted as the currency, and the
Yeah.
exchanges took place, right?
Yeah.
So, but when the world made a move towards sort of physical or the paper currency,
Yeah.
it presented a very different sorts of problems, because the
Mhm.
paper currency did not have inherent value.
Mm.
Inherent value was very small. So if today you are holding a 500 rupee paper, if you sell it as a paper, that will not bring even 50 paisa, right?
Okay. Okay.
Whereas it has a value of 500. So this was the big transformation from the metallic currency,
To the
which
paper.
which held the inherent value,
Mhm.
to a paper currency which was having the value only by what we call fiat, the
Yeah.
fiat of the government, that the
Mm.
government says that this is 500 rupees.
Yes.
In fact, in the transformation phase, when the paper currency came in, the government, in fact, gave guarantee
Yeah.
that if you want to convert at any point of time into metallic rupee or the silver rupee, you just come back to me, and if you present me a 500 rupees note, I will give you 500 coins of 1 rupee silver, right?
Mhm.
This was the guarantee. So, if you carefully see in every note, still there is a guarantee which is carried, that I guarantee hereby that so much will
Yeah.
be paid on if this note is surrendered, to something to that effect.
Yes.
That is today meaningless, because if you were to replace, let us say, 500 rupees note brought to you by another 500 rupees, it doesn't change anything.
Yeah.
Uh, Whereas earlier, to make sure that people have had confidence in the rupee note, paper
Yes.
note, the
Yes.
guarantee was that if I am saying that this is 1 rupee paper note, it's equivalent to 1 rupee silver coin or 1 rupee gold coin. So
Mhm.
if you come back to me, I'll pay you back in that rupee. And that is why everyone slowly, everyone had the confidence in that paper rupee as equivalent to that value. Over the years, when the
Mhm.
government started diluting
Yeah.
the reserves which are held behind. So
Yeah.
initially, when the rupee notes were introduced, the government held equivalent amount of metal or metal coins in its treasury. So if I have issued 2 crores worth of paper notes, 2 crores
Yeah.
worth of physical coins were there. The idea was that carrying coins, etc., is bulky,
But
problematic.
yeah.
So you use this, but there is equivalent value behind. But
Yes.
over the years, this started getting diluted. So you issue 100 rupees note, but you keep only 5 rupees equivalent of silver or gold behind. That is where the seigniorage and other issues came up. And finally, then the reserve banks or the central banks had to hold the value in a much more contrived way, that you balance the issuance of rupee in terms of what is the total macroeconomic demand for the currency and deposits and things like that. Now the current stage is the next evolution,
Mhm.
where you're saying that instead of paper, we will use a code, or we will use some electronic means to represent that value,
Mm.
right? And that is where the big question comes, that is the private cryptocurrencies, which are again the private code, pretending to be holding that much value or higher value or whatever.
Yeah.
uh, and if the central bank were to change from paper note to the electronic code, which is in your wallet as electronic rupee or digital rupee, then can you build enormous amount of confidence in multitude of people?
Yes.
Today, 90% or 95% of the people still don't use
Yeah.
the electronic means of payment. They use physical cash, and they trust implicitly that
Absolutely.
100 rupees note which they are holding
Yeah.
is equivalent to 100 rupees. It has value. But if they were to hold a code in their phone or wallet, right, or some dematted number, will they be having that much confidence?
Yes.
And paper currency can be very easily transacted. I just hand it over to you and you take it. But handing over an electronic code will require some electronic devices
Yeah.
to do it.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
therefore, the challenge is to design the currency, digital currency, in a manner which can be easily used, which can be used by everyone, literate and illiterate, by using whatever today virtually the world has seen, the universalization of the telephone, so to say, or mobile networks. Almost everybody has it, but
Yeah.
not everyone has the smartphone or otherwise. Can the feature phones be used in a very simple way to make electronic payments? I think all these issues are there for everyone to consider, including India, and therefore there is no hurry and there is
Yeah.
no worry if you have not come up with the right kind of digital money or digital rupee so far. It needs to be evolved, and it may happen over the years. And in my judgment, most likely, whenever it happens, the digital rupee is introduced, it will not replace the physical rupees in one go.
Yeah.
Like the notes have not replaced coins completely.
Yes.
Similarly, it will start introducing, and it may take 100 years to for complete sort of reversal or replacement of the physical notes by a complete electronic mode. It may
It
happen
could
soon.
exist, coexist. True. True, sir. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, so beautifully explained by Mr. Garg, I mean, that leaves no doubt that why this digital currency and how it is going to be used. There was a time when, if you remember, shares were all physical in nature, right? Everything. And that we used to hand over, bundles and bundles of share certificates to our broker, and he would go into that ring and trade with that, right? He would. And by the time he comes out, he's torn, his shirt is torn, his pant is torn, perhaps. And, that has replaced, and it has now become completely demat. There is no such thing as a share certificate anymore. It's all, dematted. And we have accepted that. But yeah, but there is a difference. That population of people was far less. Now we are talking about 1.3 billion people. So it's a different paradigm shift, and it's a different ball game altogether. So I'm sure people like Mr. Garg have thought through, and they know exactly what to do. While we're doing so, I had I came across one Mr. Deepak Kapoor. He is wanting to ask you a question. So, Mr. Kapoor, could you please unmute yourself and ask the question?
Uh, Hi, Mr. Garg.
Hello.
Yeah. So, I just want to ask one question. We have so many benefits of crypto, and like government has their stance on it. So we don't have any clarity what government will be doing. Like for any policy, government like always say we will be bringing a bill for this to do this in next 1 year or 2 years. But in this case, government is not saying anything about this. If they want to ban also, they want to have to clarify it.
See, I think the sort of onset of cryptocurrencies by private player using the blockchain technology has thrown up enormous amount of challenges. Having said that, and so there is an underlying blockchain technology which works on the principle of decentralized ledger, all private, nothing, no central entity. It also uses a lot of cryptos or cryptography for creating the algorithms and other modes for which they under which the transfer, creation of currencies and other takes place, right? It's a high technology. It's uses of blockchain and the cryptography is not exclusively limited to creation of currencies, so to say. It can be used very well in creating assets. It can be used for creating databases, management. It can be used to create several products, technological, otherwise, deliver services and all. So I think one thing which we must sort of make distinction is that there is a technology and there is a currency aspect, right? Currency is so this distinction gets mixed up a whole lot. uh, People think that if you regulate or ban cryptocurrency, you are probably trying to kill the nascent, very promising blockchain technology, cryptography technology. At the same time, the government also has a problem in understanding. They want to promote, let us say, the blockchain technology, but they can't allow, for all the
Yeah.
reasons which I explained earlier, a private guy to issue currency and use that currency to make payments, right? That is something which no government will allow. In fact, the people who are buying cryptocurrencies are not buying cryptocurrencies as currencies. They think this has a lot of asset value.
Investment.
It
Yeah.
will appreciate in value. They would be you can sort of pay get paid twice, or your profits can rise. So they see it as an asset. So there is a confusion between what is a currency and what is an asset, etc. So for all these reasons, in this field, and initially, when the cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and thus came in, there were also lots of cases of gullible people not knowing, simply drawn by the lucre of that, okay, this will double in 2 months or 1 month. And people started putting investment. It's a public duty of the government to protect such uninformed people from sort of getting becoming victims of such kind of things. So the initial reaction of the government to the onset of the private currency was that you should warn people that don't get into such thing which will bring you problems. But still the system went on. So in 2019, and incidentally I headed that committee, the government in the Ministry of Finance, the Reserve Bank, the tax authorities, the regulator of stock markets and all, they were all very clear that we have to do something, that this currency or the cryptocurrency as currency is banned.
Yeah.
No one is allowed to create it. Nobody is allowed to use that, trade that, or whatever. As far as the currency is concerned. But
Correct.
for the rest, we can look at it, we should allow it to flourish and use in services. So the bill which was presented by the committee talks about banning cryptocurrencies as currencies. Unfortunately, the definitions of what is a cryptocurrency and what is crypto asset and what is crypto technology, etc., had not evolved that much clearly, and which is reflected in the old bill of 2019. Now let us see. The government has intimated the parliament that we will bring up a cryptocurrency and the regulation of central bank digital currency. The title which has been suggested to parliament doesn't talk about banning, but the bill is not available, so we'll have to wait to see what kind of bill comes and what provisions does it have. Does it have nice distinction between what I call five functions or five kind of different facets? One is the crypto as currency, the other one is crypto as commodity, third one is crypto as asset, fourth one is crypto as technology, and fifth one is a crypto as a service platform, right? So these five different kind of facets, and there might be more, I may not be fully aware. If we are able to make our understanding better, distinguish these five aspects at the minimum clearly, and only ban and ban the crypto as currencies, and also lay path for evolution of crypto currencies as a central bank or the government public currency to replace the physical rupee or substitute to some extent, I think we will be doing a good service. The other things, crypto assets can be probably regulated, but we'll have to see how the government understands and deals with these five different facets of the phenomenon of cryptocurrency.
Sure.
Yeah, actually, I got a good explanation, but actually, my question is something like this: like, we as a India and the government has a clear policy, like we will be about to bring EV, electric vehicles, in next 10 years, like that. So people and industries are going to align their mindset, like we have to buy EV, like they can plan like in next 2 years they will buy EV, or industries they can align themselves, they have to manufacture this EV. Now in this case, like people are not able to like get some mindset, like if they can move right now from these crypto industries if government will be going to ban. But if after bill we going to get to know that we have to move, then it's going to be late. Like why we are not getting a clear stance, like if they are going to ban, then they have to tell us like we will be bringing some law about this, so that clarity is not coming. Like the
It'll
stance.
come. I think.
Mhm.
This is
I think.
This is
Yeah.
precisely,
Go ahead,
I
sir.
can tell you
Yeah.
that the the government should develop clarity about the crypto as currency and crypto as assets. Everybody in the industry who is talking about and who is worried, including what you are reflecting, is basically about crypto as assets, right? And the view of the government about crypto as assets, uh, if I were to sort of advise currency, I am absolutely clear that you can't allow any private currency. But crypto as an asset, though it's a riskier part, if it is a pure play coin or currency type of asset, but it is valuable if it is backed by technology. For example, Ethereum, if you were to take, it has developed into a very nice technological platform on which a lot of development of services is taking place using the technological platform of the Ethereum. There are others also as well. So I think your concern is valid, and that is what exactly should be done, that the government should be able to distinguish and lay out very clearly a policy about, let us say, currency, no, total ban, assets, yes, this kind of assets will be allowed, and this is the way it will be regulated and things like that. So I think if that happens, then you will have a better clarity.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Let's. I have we have the privilege of having Mr. Raman, who was ex RBI. observes, it's not a question, that this is not going to be an easy decision. Every time a Bitcoin chain is attacked by cyber criminals, the development of CBDC will take several steps. A CBDC must be almost hack-proof or distributed enough to avoid single point of attack. So this is another reason, besides acceptability, why this process is going to be a gradual and long drawn. But we have to think beyond Bitcoin and move on to a CBDC as a reality. Any thoughts on that, sir?
Well, I think this is a very valid concern and comment. Today, most of the central banks in the world are sort of trying to bring about one of the two basic models of the cryptocurrency based CBDC. One is known as a wholesale model, the other one is known as a retail model. The retail model is where the idea is that everybody, like today we use cash, everyone uses cash, should be able to use the cryptocurrency as the digital rupee issued by the central bank. The wholesale model targets only certain kind of functions, settlement, large payments and things like that. So that is a different model. And I think concerns like hacking, etc., are more sort of concerned with either hacking the wholesale kind of stuff. So if you are, let us say, making settlements of millions of dollars or billions of rupees using the crypto system, can it be hacked by someone? We don't know how strong the technology is. It is said that the feature of the blockchain, that it is distributed across and it's copied, or it is available on everybody's sort of system, makes it less hack proof or something. But it's only time which will tell. But I think if we are thinking of retail model of the central bank digital currency or the government digital currency, I think other models, for example, the demat model, you can have concern today also that a lot of assets which are held on to in the demat platform can also be hacked. But humanity has learned to develop and keep the safety of billions and billions of assets held as equity or otherwise in bonds. Bonds today are $300 trillion or something like that. So it should be possible to evolve even a dematted currency or a crypto-based currencies dealing with or addressing the safety and the security concerns. That is a technological issues. It should be possible.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. Thanks, Mr. Padmanabhan, for this question. I mean, rather observation, and thank you, sir. So you are also teaching somewhere. You should be called Professor Garg. I mean, you explained so beautifully, so well. You're explaining. It's like it's like listening to a professor. It's a sheer delight.
I'll consider this profession now.
It's a sheer delight to talk to you, sir. We have a media person by Mr. Krishna Tripathi. He is from Bharat ETV. He wants to ask a question to you. Can you please answer his question, Mr. Tripathi? Please unmute and ask the question.
Good noon, sir. This is Krishnanand Tripathi from ETV Bharat. I heard your views about cryptocurrency. Government is going to come up with a bill possibly in this session, ongoing session itself. I just wanted to know if they allow private players to issue digital currency or cryptocurrency. So whether they should impose some kind of tax, or if they allow cryptocurrency as an asset class, so it should be taxed. And second, my follow-up question is that your views on budget, whether it will be able to revive the economy or not.
See, the currency doesn't have tax implications, right? The currency has a stable value and therefore you don't gain. So if there is no income, you don't tax, right? You use the currency to make payment for services where you earn income, which is a different matter, right? But as currency, you don't earn income and therefore there is no. That is the problem with the cryptocurrency, which is mixed when it gets mixed up as an asset. Asset has a income issue.
Value.
So if you buy, let us say, Bitcoin at $10,000 and then you are able to sell it at $50,000, you made profits of $40,000. This $40,000 of profit must be taxed. It's an income. And if any other income like salary or capital gains on shares or sale of house, capital gains and other things are taxed, the gains made on holding and trading the crypto assets should also be taxed. So if the government were to treat, and that the government will have to sort out one confusion here, whether to treat crypto assets as commodities or as assets. Because commodities are consumed. Assets are not consumed as such. Assets deliver value over a period of time. And that is why the commodities manufactured and sold attract GST and other kind of things, because that is part of the consumption system. The crypto assets will not be part of this. So I think there should be a very good clarity that crypto assets will not be treated as commodities. I hear some kind of noises sometimes emanating from the government circles that we will treat this as a commodity and kind of thing. Even I at one point of time did not have this kind of clarity and therefore suggested that can we deal with it as a commodity? It's not. I think we should be very clear that crypto assets is what it is. And as assets, it should be like today, if any company issues, let us say, shares and then list it on the stock exchanges or something, any crypto assets company or a technology company, if it issues its shares in the form of coins, what they call initial coin offering or something, that as you permit issue of equity shares, you can permit the issue of sort of initial coin. Coin can be treated equivalent to equity, and then these can be listed, made subject to all kinds of regulations, trading made possible. So I think if the government gets it that a certain kind of eligible crypto assets will be allowed to be sort of listed, traded, and then the tax implications would also be very simple. That whenever today you have long-term capital gains, you have short-term capital gains. So likewise, you can have short-term capital gains on crypto assets or long-term crypto assets, or you can design a special regime, like you have a special regime for taxing gold sales or something. So you can design that kind of system, and even the tax angle which you are alluding to also becomes simpler and clear.
Sir, the follow-up question on the budget, because you handle key portfolio. There are two distinct features: fiscal deficit at 9.5% of GDP, and capital expenditure that is 2.5% of the GDP, over 5.5 lakh crore rupees. Do you think the interplay of these two things, how it will guide our economy, revival of economy in future, sir?
See, today's discussion is focused on digital rupee, so I will just refer you to read my two blogs. One is on capital expenditure and the other one is on the fiscal deficits and all. These are available on LinkedIn. So please refer to that. I have treated the subject in very great details. You can find the details there.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Tripathi. Very good questions. And my question, and there's another question which is on similar nature. So how will digital fiat currency, CBD, also known as a digital rupee, impact the current existing payment system and monetary policy making?
I think this is extremely important aspect of it, which also requires a full consideration. There are a lot of concerns which have emanated, especially from the kind of model which has been suggested so far for the CBDC, right?
Okay.
The CBDC, both the retail as well as the wholesale model, talks about the central bank issuing.
Mhm.
People who are holding that currency are supposed to be holding directly an account with the central bank. That, in a way, if it happens that way, bypasses the banking system. Today, all the currency accounts are held in the banks, whether in savings bank, current form, or whatever. So if you were to come up with a system where every 130 crore Indians have direct account with the central bank, then it has enormous implications for the banking system, right? Second, the monetary policy deals with money, and the money is currency plus deposits, to put it very simply, right? So today, if the currency is about 30 lakh crores in India, and the money is about 150 lakh crores, so the money is 5 times the currency. So if the currency is sort of dealt directly by the central bank, then what happens to the monetary policy? So this 5 times what I'm saying to you is in fact the result of what is known as the multiplier effect, which is brought out by the banks. So
Yeah.
when central bank issues currency, it goes to the bank, bank gets its deposit, then bank lends, keeps only a part as reserve, and by multiplying, one becomes 5. In some countries it might become 10, so it depends upon the systems. The money multiplier effect may be different in different countries. Now if the digital currency or digital rupee is issued directly by the central bank to the people, and the people don't keep that as deposits in the bank, the multiplier effect goes away. There is no so banks go out of the business, right? And as we are now seeing the development of peer-to-peer lending, crowdfunding, and things like that, so if the deposits don't come to the bank and the banks don't, the lending also gets substituted by the peer-to-peer lending and others, the banks goes out of the business. There is another implication which is also very important from the central bank's perspective. Today, when the Reserve Bank of India issues currency, the cost of issuing currency is very small, only a fraction. So 30 lakh crores of rupees which are there in the system, the Reserve Bank spends something close to 4 to 5,000 crores every year in printing the new currency, right? So the cost is 0.05%, so which is fraction. Whereas the money or the currency which it has used, it uses to buy bonds and the foreign currency which earns it returns of, let us say, 2% or 3%. So the Reserve Bank's profits essentially comes from the profit generated from low cost currency used for buying the high interest yielding foreign assets as well as domestic assets. Now, the if this goes directly to the people and you don't use this system to buy bonds and other assets, there is implications for the Reserve Bank's profitability as well. So all these issues, the monetary policy, the banking system, credit expansion, and others are very intimately connected with how
Yeah.
the CBDC comes. In my judgment, again, I would like to argue that if you replace the physical rupee by dematted rupee and issue the demat currency in exactly the same form as in which you issue the physical currency today by means of the banks, nothing actually gets disrupted. The banks continue to get deposits, bank continue to make money multiplier, and the central bank also continue to get seigniorage. So I'm of very considered opinion that instead of looking at the cryptocurrency based retail or wholesale model of the CBDC, the Reserve Bank should actually take lead in designing and making the dematted version of rupee available, and simply replace the physical rupee with the dematted rupee, with every other part of the system of the monetary policies and otherwise continuing as it is. I think that system would be most constructive and most helpful and the least disruptive than any cryptocurrency based retail or wholesale model.
Thank you. Thank you. Sir, it's another 6 minutes to go. So I will, let me ask you a final question. Very good question and a very interesting question. Do you believe, as many others do, that RBI's recent announcement of retailing of government securities is a POC for CBDC?
No, it's not the CBDC, but this is a very, very welcome measure. I think this was only the technological considerations which had come in the way. Earlier, the government bonds were also physical, that design, and these were, since these are issued in very large quantities, this required the financial system and others to sort of subscribe to it, and that it became only a wholesale kind of arrangement. The people should be able to hold the bonds issued by the central bank. In fact, if you take it a little logically further, this would substitute the small savings schemes of the government of India. The government of India issues the national savings certificates and other kinds of, and they came up with a variable interest bearing bonds recently. Those are all, they should be closed, and this should become the government backed or the sovereign backed kind of risk free bond, which people can use. Over the years, it's possible to now I think if I can tell you that if you use the same technology of bond issued to retail, to issue the rupee to the retail. So bond, the distinction would be that in bonds the Reserve Bank or the government would pay interest for holding on, and the bonds would be in certain kind of denominations, not very easy to be used as payment. You can't buy a cup of tea using 1/1,000,000th part of the bond which has been issued. But it makes sense for the government, and it's very convenient to the people if the central bank were to use the digital rupee as currency in using the same model as we have talked. So the bonds issued by the Reserve Bank today are subscribed by everyone. It's not only the retail. Likewise, the currency which is issued in the dematted form, bonds are also dematted, can be subscribed or taken by the banks, financial institutions, people, and otherwise. They can also come to the people via the banks and others. So that this is perfectly welcome decision to allow the retail participation in bonds and use this technology and the architecture to sort of go towards dematted rupee is what I would recommend.
Right, sir. So thank you very much. I know you have another session coming up in next 2 minutes or so. So I have so many questions to ask you, and the kind of explanation that you give is so beautiful. It's like hearing a poetry, the way you put it across. So this is that we would love to have you again. Sorry for this. We have to rush through. So ladies and gentlemen, I have to come to draw an end to this session, because we have to keep here. Mr. Garg has to keep some other commitment, so we would let Mr. Garg go, but with the promise that he will come again. And with that, I would request all of you to kind of thank Mr. Garg for coming over and spending a valuable time with us. Thank you, Mr. Garg, for coming and spending time with us.
I enjoyed it. Your questions. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, sir. With this, I end this session. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You will see a recorded version of the same at 4 o'clock. Thank you very much and goodbye.